Vanquisher is coming out with an album right now, and I was partially involved in the recordings, and I fucked up so much. And I want to tell about it, because it can be something to think about when you're into recording, production, whatever, because I've always been kind of messy with my file management, and this is just... this was a big lesson for me to keep track of where I have my files, how I organize them and everything, because I really fucked up. And let's skip all the backstory. We go straight for the recording sessions, okay? So I was partially involved. That means that, for example, the guitarists and the bass player was recording from home. Like, I live up here and they live down here, okay? So guitars and bass was recorded by themselves, and at the time Johan, the singer, was living quite close to where I live, so he actually came up to me and we recorded together, and I gave some guidance, some tips and tricks and advice for getting the best out of his singing. For example, he was super worried about not having piano notes to hear the pitch before we started recording, and it quickly showed that he didn't need it at all. He is an extremely talented singer, and he has nothing to worry about, basically. He can just sing his ass off, and I mean, the recording sessions was really smooth and very inspiring, to say the least, because, I mean, I've been in so many recordings with various singers where you have to struggle to get something out of them, or time goes by and you don't get anything done. But this was really good. He always managed to get a couple of songs each session, and we were happy after each session, and felt like, okay, we are looking forward for the next session to complete more songs. So that's all good. But then I was supposed to go and record the drummer, and now things start to fall apart. So as mentioned, I live up here, they live down here. So I had, in December last year, I went for an 8-hour train ride down to the south of Sweden, and with my recording gear, microphones, a bunch of stuff. And John Larsson, the drummer, super good drummer. He's a really energetic and hard-hitting drummer who, I mean, he plays his heart out. It's really inspiring to see him bash his drums, because he's not shy to bash the shit out of his drums or like anything like that. So he's kind of fearless, which has there's some pros and cons to that, and everything depends on how the production is set up to be or whatever. But I would say that the recording sessions, I was only there for 2 days or something, and we got through everything with some marginal, which is perfectly fine. I mean, there was minimal amount of like edits or barely any studio magic. So big thumbs up to John Larsson for doing his homework before recording session, because not everybody does that. So I really appreciated that, especially when you go all that way down to the south of Sweden to record somebody. You don't want to like waste all that time and notice that, fuck, this drummer doesn't know a shit. But it did, so that was really cool. And the experience was just overall good. And the thing is, by this time I had decided to kind of stop mixing bands for personal reasons, like, I mean, I was kind of tired of mixing bands just in general, and I proposed that I would not do the mixings, but we had agreed that I would do it, so when I got home, and we had all the drums, we had all the vocals, all the guitars, everything was like ready to mix, and my mindset wasn't there, so I just missed deadlines. I started to screw up, and I mean, the band got really frustrated with me, which is perfectly understandable because they have their plans and I have my issues, and it just didn't work with my brain state at the moment. So we agreed that, okay, because I keep fucking up with the mixing process and not delivering in time, and I felt like I'm not gonna be able to do it. So we decided that I'll give up that and send them all the drum multitracks and vocal multitracks and everything that I had, and they continue to give that to somebody else, which I perfectly understood because I knew I wasn't gonna be able to finish it anyway in a reasonable time or with any spirit or whatever you call it. So we did that. There was just one problem, and this is where it really fell apart. Okay. Oh my god. I was packing up the multitracks from all the drums, all the kick, bass, snare, toms, everything. And then I come up to the last two songs, Serpent Gods and Priest of Set, I think it is, the two last songs of the album. And I realized that, oh my god, I am a complete mess and I have not backupped those files. I mean, I had several I'll show you. I had several of these, like a whole bunch of different external SSD drives, because I felt like, oh, I'm a professional, I have many drives. And the problem is that in the past, I have not... okay, sorry to interrupt the story, but I have to go back to one of my biggest issues as a producer, and that is file management, which is learning from the Vanquisher nightmare, really important. And I learned so much, and that is, for example, right now I'm recording on this laptop, but you shouldn't be recording on the internal drive, okay? Because I also had a stationary computer, and which was my main mixing computer, and this is my main field tracking computer. When I'm out and traveling, I can take this with me easier than a stationary, which is, I guess, just logic. And in the past, I have been recording inside the internal here and then transferred to another external to then insert in the stationary, and that creates a big fucking mess, and it has resulted in a bunch of issues with various bands in the past where files are missing. I have put something in a drive somewhere where I don't know where it is, and now I realize that 2 songs are missing with drums, because I had transferred files from one SSD to another SSD, and to the stationary, and like a big clusterfuck of file transfers all the way. So that's not the right way to do it. For example, this is how we do it. If you have a laptop and you have a stationary computer or whatever it is, record everything on this, and you just connect this from here, and then you connect this to there. So you don't have to you export files from your workstation into new projects, and that's how I've been doing it, and it's wrong. Don't do it, kids. So whatever, I felt embarrassed and kind of panicked because I had realized that 2 songs are missing drums. I tell the band that 2 drum tracks from 2 songs are missing, and in of course I have no good idea what to do, so I suggest, because these 2 songs, Serpent God and Priest of Set, was actually recorded as their previous EP, which I mixed and whatever. And so I had the drum tracks from the old EP, which are like very different because they recorded those drums in a completely different place, different microphones, different everything. So that was my proposal. Guys, can't we just use those? Which is really laughable because I'm kind of a perfectionist usually, and I wouldn't allow that in one of my own projects. But this was kind of a, what do you call it? Emergency solution, okay? This was my emergency solution. Like, you have drum tracks, can't you just use those? Of course, they don't agree with this because it's stupid, and I mean, deep down I knew it was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking because it's fucking stupid. I mean, sure, in the past of historical albums, like if you listen to Thundersteel with Riot, there's like different sessions for different songs which sound completely different drummers. Even Wasp's debut album also have different sessions with completely different songs. But you know, it's a different time now. We have possibility to do things properly now, instead of how they did it in the past. So I realized that I fucked up, and I have to man up and do something about it, which basically just means that I pack my recording gear again and go down this fucking 8-hour train ride down to south of Sweden. And luckily enough, these guys are very good in documenting things behind the scenes. So they had actually photographed all the microphone placements, and that's actually because during the recordings, I actually suggested to them that they should start recording themselves, because it's like not a big science to put microphones on your drums. Just make sure that the face alignments are right, you know. So, which is actually part of my job as a producer, that if the band can do something at home, they should do it. And some things are not super difficult. Anyway, they had taken photos of various microphone placements, and I go down there with the tail between my legs, embarrassed and ashamed as fucking hell, and John was of course very unhappy with this, that he has to retrack 2 songs basically for the 3rd time, because he already tracked them for the EP and then he tracked it for the album, and I lost those and he had to retract them a 3rd time. And the positive thing with that is that he knows the songs now, so it basically doesn't... It should go very smooth, and I mean, from what I remember, he did a good job. It was a smooth recording. And of course, we communicated via chats or phones, and meeting each other in real life is very underrated when you do a mistake or fuck up, because then you get to meet the human being behind the mistakes, you know. That's a big part of why I think actually meeting in person when you're recording is a good thing, especially if you're recording a singer. You can directly, as a producer, guide them to the best of their potentials, which is very difficult if you are sending tracks over the internet and stuff, and sometimes that's necessary because you live in different countries or whatever. But point aside, I have to get back to the most embarrassing part of this entire fucking spectacle of a producer failure. And that is, of course, I agreed to repay some of the money that I got for the recordings, which is, I mean, in hindsight, it's perfectly understandable and fair because I didn't do the mixing job, which was part of our original deal, and so nothing wrong with that. That's also on my part that I didn't do it. So he retracted. I mean, we were really. It's really difficult with acoustic instruments like a drum to like get the microphones back in place perfectly fine. Like, okay, it was exactly like this, and the drums maybe have retuned differently, and we had room mics in another room, which is difficult to recreate. And I mean, I did my absolute best. I used my absolute most like robotic like expertise to try to listen between the old recordings and the new recordings to see, okay, we're getting close now, and I guess it worked. I mean, it was close enough, I guess, for the mixing engineer to be able to work with it. So all fine, I guess. And so the second session to repair the damage was finished. I go back up with my 8-hour train ride, and a few days later I find one of these external drives like on the floor somewhere under my computer desk, which has the 2 missing songs. I mean, it has the entire session, of course, because I had like exported a few songs of those to begin mixing, but I had not yet exported the 2 last songs to mix on the other computer. This is why you shouldn't be like transferring shit everywhere. You should keep everything in one place, record there, mix there. Like, don't transfer shit everywhere. I mean, if you have computer specs that doesn't allow yourself to have this many tracks while you're tracking or everything, okay, fine. Maybe you have to obey the limits of your machines. But my computers are fairly competent, and I can track and mix in the same product, so that's really not a problem. But my problem was just understanding that you should not have files and projects everywhere. So that was a really embarrassing thing to tell the band, that, I found the original tracks and everything, and anyway, I mean, I've spoken to the guys and or written off the internet as you do nowadays, and it's an experience that make you think and learn and like have everything have your projects on one place and move that between computers. Do not like fuck up things like I did. Then of course you should always do backups. Like if I have this, I should also regularly back up to another drive, and also to like a cloud, like a Dropbox or whatever, because if this fails, I still have it on Dropbox, at least one of the more current versions of whatever I'm working on. So that's super important for anybody to think about when you're recording things. I don't remember exact term, like a 3-way backup plan or whatever it is. 2 physical, 1 online, and you're safe. I mean, your house can burn down and you still have it online, and your online dealer goes out of business and it disappears. You still have it on physical media and can go to another online service to back up your shit. So I guess that's my worst mistake as a producer, engineer, whatever you want to call it. And I hope I'll never fuck up that much again. And I hope you don't too. You don't either, I guess it's called in real English. Oh, I'm really tired. I haven't slept all night. It's still morning, and I have lots to do today. So Thanks for watching. Bye.